2 months back in July, I visited my family in Germany for a wedding. I was and still am concerned about my carbon footprint to slow down global warming, which is why I hitchhiked towards Germany. If you want to have a video about that too, write it in the comments. On the way back, I chose to travel by train because I had about 42 kilograms of luggage, which made it a little bit complicated to hitchhike. Traveling by train saved me about 255 kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions compared to an airplane. Here are some impressions of my sustainable journey from Mannheim in Germany to Lisbon in Portugal. My journey started in Mannheim, where I took an ICE to Paris. After a little more than 3 hours, I arrived. Since marketing of 2 of the 3 train operators state that they cause very little greenhouse gas emissions for the train ride, I wanted to know more about their way of calculation. I will share with you my thoughts on that and how I calculated the emissions for the train journey through Europe in the end of the video. Now we'll keep telling you about the travel itself. From Paris, I had a TGV to Haugen, which lies directly at the border to Spain. It was also quite fast for the distance of 816 kilometers. The last train from Haugen to Lisbon was the one with the longest duration, but it was overnight, so with sleeping time subtracted, the almost 13 hours weren't too bad. Between arrival and departure in Paris, I had to cover 13 hours. I arrived at 11 in the evening and explored Paris at night time. You heard right, one night in Paris. I read on some blogs and newspaper articles before that Paris wasn't safe at night time. I cannot confirm that. Until 1 AM there were quite a few people at the waterside of the river Seine, chatting and dancing. But after 1 AM the streets were calm and empty, until 6 when commuter traffic started. The only thing I observed in the night, there were a lot of rats in the streets. A lot. When I arrived in Paris, I was told that there were no lockers at the train station where I could leave my luggage. Fortunately, I could leave my 42 kilograms of luggage in the storage room of a hotel near the train station. I only took a backpack with food, drinks and the camera for the night. Nevertheless, in the morning, I carried my 2 pieces of luggage 5 kilometers through Paris to get from one train station to the other. Metro would have been an option too. I made it walking, but it was very exhausting. It was my first long-distance train ride. Some months back I flew to Portugal. Then I started with the research about global warming and the bad impact of flying on climate. Knowing what are the consequences of global warming to which I would contribute when flying, I just cannot take an airplane anymore.
Vérifie que vous avez le billet à bord de ce train. L'équipage vous remercie d'avoir choisi TGV Inouï et espère vous revoir prochainement. Nous vous souhaitons une bonne soirée.
After making up some sleep on the TGV, I arrived in Haugen. The waiting time here is about 2 hours, which is enough to get to the departure platform. It lies directly vis-à-vis. I used the time to eat something and make some video shots. Now, I'll leave you alone for a little bit to enjoy this beautiful scenery.
Said they never would believe me. I paid no attention to the very end. Oh yeah, I think I started a trend.
When it comes to online calculation of greenhouse gas emissions, I could only find calculators which refer to the emissions that are caused during the operation of a vehicle and by fuel production. None of them considered the emissions that occur during the production and maintenance of vehicles and the construction and maintenance of transport infrastructure. I wanted to know whether this was insignificant or not. So here, on the left, on the green side, you see the emissions that can be easily calculated online and are also most likely to be stated by the train operators. On the right, on the red side, you see reality. Let me explain to you how I proceeded. As said before, there was not much data online, but nevertheless I found a Californian high-speed rail project which considered emissions from the whole life cycle. Since the data of the high-speed train from the project was different from the trains which I used, I recalculated the emissions by using the real number of seats, occupancy and the distance traveled. These data I put in the following formula. Of course, this calculation does not reflect reality by 100%, since it is very likely that, for example, infrastructure and trains are produced in a different way using different material and technology. But it gives a more complete picture when it comes to calculate the life cycle emissions for my trip from Germany to Portugal. If you're interested in the scientific sources which I used, write it in the comments or message me. I will send them to you, as I don't know if I'm allowed to publish them. If you liked this video and want to know more about a sustainable lifestyle, I would be happy if you leave a like and subscribe. You can also check out my previous videos. Have you ever tried to calculate the greenhouse gas emissions for your trip? Tell me about it in the comments.